couldn't help but think about my mother. I remember being a kid, about 5 years old. She would take me into the projects with her when she played cards on Friday nights with a bunch of women. Now, these women didn't have more than a 12th grade education, but they were smart black women. They were powerful black women. They had great stories to tell. And I was a 5-year-old kid sitting there on the floor playing with my Matchbox cars, listening to them talk about their men, their relationships, and their pains. And when one of them would get really sad, another woman would come in and make a joke, and they'd all start laughing. I didn't know I was in a master class for my life. I would get home, and my father would be beating my mother and doing all kinds of things and saying all kinds of stuff to her, and he would leave the room, and I'd walk in and I'd imitate one of those women, and she would start laughing. There was a power in that I didn't really get until I got older. I remember being about 11, 12 years old on my way to my new school, and I got to this intersection. I had to walk past pimps, prostitutes, literally walk through a graveyard, get to this intersection, 6-lane intersection. And there was a man standing there saying, "Will someone help me cross? Will someone help me cross?" And there were all of these people that kept passing by him and passing by him. I said, "I'll help you cross." So he told me he was going to my school and he was going to sell candy there. That's how he made his living. So I helped him cross the street to get there. We became good friends. His name was Mr. Butler. That moment reminded me of my mother, bringing her out of pain into laughter to help her cross. My first 10 movies were all about her subconsciously, wanting her to know that she was worthy, wanting black women to know you're worthy, you're special, you're powerful, you're amazing. But I started hiring people like Taraji and Viola Davis and Idris Elba. They couldn't get jobs in this town, but God blessed me to be in a position to be able to hire them. I was trying to help somebody cross. When I built my studio, I built it in a neighborhood that is one of the poorest black neighborhoods in Atlanta, so the young black kids could see that a black man did that and they can do it too. I was trying to help somebody cross. The studio was once a Confederate Army base, and I want you to hear this, which meant that there was Confederate soldiers on that base plotting and planning on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by one Negro. What I know for sure is that if I could just build this table, God would prepare it for me in the presence of my enemies. Rather than being an icon, I want to be an inspiration. Thank you, everybody. I want you to hear this. Every dreamer in this room, there are people whose lives are tied into your dream. Own your stuff. Own your business. Own your way. God bless you.
We all have two people. We all have two people. And I'm not saying you're crazy. We have the easy voice, which is that 20% telling yourself that I'm easy at 90% of my full potential, maybe 100% at that 20%. That's that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice that's that mommy holding you saying it's going to be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. Just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. That's where you want to be at. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is the voice saying, "Hey man, you ain't doing shit." So we try to get this voice out of our head completely. And we live over here in this land. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. The voice saying things to you that aren't nice. That it's in our head saying, "You know what, man? Dude, you're not doing shit. You're not." And it's not putting yourself down. People take this the wrong way in this new society. I'm not saying to put yourself down. I'm saying listen to the truth. And the truth isn't in the 20%. The truth is in this other part of your brain saying, "Look, man, you're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into, because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you gotta go through all of this shit."
I have this very blessed life where I get to surround myself with people like yourself who are just pushing the limit of physical ability, of mental ability, of even spiritual ability. So I'm sitting back and watching how people act and they operate, and to see the people who truly thrive in life are the people who are willing to do the things no one else is willing to do. And that's including the ability to sit and meditate for an hour. And that's including the ability to go to the deepest depths of the hardest sets in the gym, those are the people that succeed, man. And most people aren't able or willing to do that because of the story they tell themselves as to why they can't. Oh, this hurts or that hurts, or I don't have the genetics, or I don't have the time, or I don't have the ability. There's all these stories you tell yourself around why you can't. And if there's a story behind why you can't, you must. Like I said, if you can't, therefore you must. So it's so important to challenge your own bullshit rules, right? And this is where the integrity comes back. If you really want to succeed in anything, if there's a fire in your heart pulling you to do something, it's going to take way more than you think. And you talk about this with your success with Quest. Like it's going to take so much to succeed, so much more than you think. It took so much more than anyone sees for me to be a great bodybuilder. Like there was days where my soul was crushed. And I, maybe I had a hard moment and I was like, let's go. I found that way to recover, go deep in my soul. And now I've been able to quantify that, right? It's like, those hard moments are your soul calling for this parasympathetic activity. Those moments where you're just like, oh my God, I can't do anymore. Good. Say thank you. Go do a breath. Go do a meditate. Calm down. It's not just a matter of not doing anything. It's a matter of learning how to go deep within your soul and recover. So this active parasympathetic activity allows then the higher amplification of the other end, right? This chasing intensity. And so people, especially these strong men, are afraid to sit down and meditate. They're afraid to be bold enough to say, dude, I do yoga because it makes me be able to work harder on the other end. Like if I don't recharge my batteries, I can't be present for my kids. I can't be present for my wife, for my business. And here's a great test. For a long time, my kids are amazing. They're the most wonderful human beings that I've met in my life. And they're energetic. And there's days where they're screaming and they're yelling and they're banging and they're breaking stuff. Irritates you. But that's not a reflection of them. That's a reflection of my inability to respond and react to that stress, right? So I've been able to see this now definitively. If there's days when that stuff bugs me, or if your wife is irritating you, that has nothing to do with her and everything to do with the way your body is sensing that.
When I was researching you, this is probably the most interesting thing you said, and it really can hit me, that every day the first thing you have to do is build your mind. I thought, whoa, that's so interesting to think about that. It gave me the chills just to think about it now. To have to build your mind every day. What do you mean by that?
I literally sit down, and I did this for a long time in my career, and create the person I want to be. I can take 30 seconds to 5 minutes before I come in here, and I can tell myself who I am, what I need to bring to this conversation, what I need to bring to this environment. So I can't go into my daughter's bedroom when she's 2 or 4 or 5 now and be the same man that I am going into my leg session. I can't be the same man that I am going into my business. Like I have to literally create these little versions, like these little multiple personalities, if I really want to thrive, right? Because if I'm the same person, there's going to be a terrible overlap. Something's going to go terribly wrong. So I need to learn to sit down and map it out. Like, who do I want to be, and what does that feel like, and what's my posture, and what's my breathing, and what's my cadence, and how do I create that in every different scenario? That's the way you succeed, and that's hard in the beginning, right? So I try not to use that term. Like, I don't believe anything is hard. I just believe you need to practice, right? Like, nothing is really hard. What's hard? It just means you haven't practiced enough yet. So I sit down in the beginning, you're like, man, it's really hard to create this mind that I want to be a champion bodybuilder in the gym. It's really hard to create this mind that's this romantic, caring lover with my wife. It's really hard to create this dad who's able to play dolls and dance with my daughter, but it's not. It just takes consistency, practice, and diligence. For me, for a long time, I sat in my car and everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I sit in my car 5 or 10 minutes because I have to. Sometimes it takes really digging deep into your soul to understand your why. Like, why am I going to go in there and have the hardest workout? I'm tired. I don't want to go. I'm hungry. There's a million places I'd rather be than going to the gym right now to do this leg workout or whatever it is. What do I have to do? Who do I have to become? Who am I? Right? Why am I here? Why did I start? And I literally write it down, man. I have a journal in my glove box, and I'd sit there and write it down. Why did I start? Why am I here? Who am I impacting? How am I helping the world? Why am I doing this? And all those things are just things that I journal on, and I'd say, would just be like this expression of my soul. Why don't I want to do it? Like, what are all the reasons why I don't want to do it? Sometimes I look at those, and those are the fire. Those are the fuel of the fire. Those are the kindling, right? But man, I want to be great. Like, anything I do, I want to be not just okay.
How do you deal with self-doubt?
I struggled with that for a very long time. We all experience it, myself included, yourself included. And all the listeners should know that. Like, it's not something that's exclusive to you sitting at home, it's everybody. I think feeling where it's coming from and not being afraid of it, don't try to bury it. I think explore it, right? I think, where's it coming from? Why is it there? And realize it's probably some story that you're telling yourself about, something maybe someone in your past put on you, or some belief that has been kind of cast on you from your parents or someone in your past. And it's not a bad thing, maybe it's fuel. Maybe it just requires you forgiving the person who put it there, and then thanking them and being legitimately truthful and grateful to them, to say, man, thank you for making me the person that I am, and allowing me to be stronger, allowing me to be resilient to stress. So that, I think a lot of people try to bury the fear, the negativity, and the anxiety rather than sitting with it, right? So when you have anxiety, what do? You take a pill. Why? Why not say, why is this here? Yes, this is incredibly uncomfortable, but this too shall pass. How do I sit with this and use this as fuel? If I have anxiety, there's a reason that anxiety is there. How do I use that to propel? Like, I literally will say, thank you. I'll smile and I go, what's going on? How do I make this better? Like, is it my family? Is it my finances? What are these things what is it? And how do I address it? Now, fuel.
You've got a quote, I'm going to get it a little bit wrong, but I'll get the idea right. In the depths of your darkest moments, smile.
Yeah, in the deepest depths of your darkest hour is your greatest opportunity to become your greatest self, right? And there's some iteration of that, right?
Yeah.
So when things get hard, when all of the clouds are rolling in, the thunder starts to roll, man, this is where I grow. This is where I thrive. Because if there's something that's hard in your life now, it's because you need to grow, right? So you intentionally try to bring those things into your life. You're like, whoa, this is going to be hard. All right, hold on tight, man. Let's go. Because I know at the other end, either I'm going to die or I'm going to be stronger, right? And if you accept death as part of a reality of life and not fear it, well, if I die, okay. But otherwise, I'm just going to come out stronger, man. And that is something that bodybuilding taught me, and I've had some brilliant, amazing people in my life who have brought that mentality into my life. And I think in our current society, we put death at a distance. Like, we try not to embrace it. But I think if we all learn to keep death a little bit closer to us and respect it, we would live our lives a little bit more consciously, a little bit more on purpose.